Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. It's a bit of an autumnal day in London today, not the best of weathers, so I will cheer myself up with recording a quick video. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so I think it's time we started re-evaluating some of the bargains out there that we can safely, and I mean with a modicum of safety, blind buy. So I've got 10 fragrances here which I think are outstanding, which do not cost very much money. And if you like me and you do like the occasional blind buy, it's nice to do one now and again with absolutely zero risk or minimal risk, because obviously there's always a risk. So what we're going to do is there's 10 fragrances here that I think are really worth exploring. And what we'll do is a whistle stop tour of them, so you can sort of see what else is out there and see if there's anything that you might fancy taking a punt on. Now, I've worn all of these, some more than others, I have to admit, but they're all quite interesting and they're all worth a go. Some of them are under £10 as well. So there you have it, some real bargains to be had, or not if you don't like them. But there you go. Anyway, first and foremost, we'll start with this one, which is Taboo from Dana. Now, this has actually become quite popular thanks to the guys over at Wafts from the Loft, and the guys at Making a Stink. They were talking about this fairly recently, and in fact that inspired me to grab this. So this first came out in 1932, and it's a really interesting one. It does smell rather good, and it does smell nothing like a lot of common designers do at the moment. It has a very niche vibe to it. It's got spices, it's got some orange, it's got neroli, it's got cloves, ylang ylang, there's some civet in here, there's some amber, there's some benzoyine, there's some patch, there's some oak moss. So it's quite a complex perfume. But basically, I mean, you can wrap it up in a nutshell. It's kind of like an orangey, spicy amber, and it does smell rather lovely. It's got a kind of a sort of a niche vibe to it. Performance is okay, it lasts quite well. This is the current formulation of it as well. This is what you will get for less than £10, and I think it's an utter bargain. It's just a little bit different, it's a little bit unique. It doesn't smell dated. I think it is still one that you can wear today. It's probably not one for those of you that are kind of just beginning your fragrance adventure or your fragrance journey, as the cliche goes. But for me, it's a really intriguing one, and it's one that I really enjoy. I don't wear it a great deal, and to be fair, I've worn it to work once and it performed admirably, but it's one I like to spritz when I'm at home. If you just want to sit down and watch TV and smell something really interesting, then Taboo is well worth, it's well worth exploring. A lot of you sort of older fragrance enthusiasts will remember this because it's been around forever. And you may have fallen out of love with it and you may have just forgotten about it, but it's certainly worth revisiting. It's an interesting perfume, completely unisex, and just a nice one to wear. And as I say, for under £10, this is an absolute bargain. Okay, next up we have the cheapest of the lot, which is called Absolute by Elite Gentleman. And this is from Ding Dong, Avon calling. I bought this a while ago. I came across it in a forum somewhere, and someone said it was a good alternative to Oud Wood, which it isn't, I'm afraid to say. It smells nothing like Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but it does smell rather good. This is a kind of an ambery oud fragrance. Now the notes are quite simple. It just says Italian lemon and then agarwood and amber, and that's kind of what you get. There's a little bit of spice in here as well, which makes it very intriguing. Long lasting. It's not the biggest in terms of projection or sillage, but it does smell rather nice. It smells quite unique, and I've not got anything in my collection that smells remotely like it. So it is a kind of a spicy, oudy, amber fragrance. Now the oud is obviously clean, it's functional, it's Western, there's no skank or anything like that in it. And it's just quite an interesting and rather unique amber. I like this one a lot. And as I say, this is well under the £10 mark for this beautiful little 50ml bottle. The presentation is superb. The spray is great. It's solid, it's heavy, cap's a bit naff, but £8 I think I paid for that, so well worth a look. So that's Absolute by Elite Gentleman, which is from the legendary company that is Avon. Okay, next up we have TK Maxx Superhero. I love this one, and this is such an amusing perfume to me, because obviously when you buy anything from TK Maxx, and I'm sure in TJ Maxx in the States it's the same, they come encased in carbonite or plastic, but it is literally like Han Solo and Empire Strikes Back. It's crusted in and you've got no way of getting it out for a sniff. So I picked up the box. I think it was £18 for this whacking great 100ml bottle. Look at it, weighs a ton. So I looked on the box and they very kindly list the notes on the box. And the notes are Royal Oud, whatever that is, grapefruit zest, and then birch tar. So I'm thinking, right, we're going to have this really potent, strong, smoky affair of a perfume. And I thought this is going to be a perfect one for the winter. So I shall reenact the opening ceremony when I got it home. So I tore open the box. You'd have to imagine that bit. I threw it across the room. You can imagine that too. And then I ripped it out and thought, oh, this lid's a bit crap. And it is, but the bottle was really heavy. And then I sprayed it. So I will reenact the spraying scenario. So I went like that, boom, boom. And I put the lid down, I put it down, and I thought, cool, that's nothing at all like I was expecting. And then I smelt it and thought, oh, hello. Wow, this smells so different to the note listing. It's untrue. What you've got is this really zingy, punchy, fresh, borderline sour, citrusy grapefruit that just lifts out. And then I'm waiting for the oud, and I'm waiting for this birch tar, this smoky bonfire of a material. None of it arrives. What you get is something that I think could be described as oud, but it almost smells to me like a fresh cardamom. And it's beautiful. It really, really works well. And then as this dries down, you get a tiny hint of smokiness. But the thing that surprised me the most is this smells like a grapefruit-infused niche version of Terre d'Hermès. It's almost like someone's taken Tom Ford's Oud Wood and blended it with Terre d'Hermès, because this cardamom-y, oudy, slight kind of oud in the opening does kind of remind me a little bit of Tom Ford's Oud Wood. But because the grapefruit is so dominant, it doesn't smell like oud wood. It does start, if anything, smelling more like Terre d'Hermès. But this is excellent. Now, I paid, I think, £18 or maybe £16 for this, and I've seen it online from anything from £80 to £35. And I don't know, I don't think it's worth the £80. I certainly wouldn't spend that much on it. But if you can get it for around £30–35, it's good, especially if you want this kind of like oud infused take on Terre d'Hermès. It's really, really rather good. I think £30–35 is about right for it, but it is 100ml and the performance is excellent. It does last a long time. Moderate projection, moderate sillage, but it's a smart one, and it's a very grown up and sophisticated perfume. So this is Orient Treasure by Lang Paris. Highly recommended if you can find it at the right price. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Okay, next up we're going to look at a couple of classics. And first up we have Uomo from Moschino. This was another cheapie from TK Maxx, and what a beautiful perfume this is. Now, it came out in 1998, and I'm sure it's been reformulated. I didn't really remember it when it came out. I don't think I, for some reason, picked up on it. Took a punt on it, some favourable reviews on Fragrantica, so I thought, yep, let's give it a go, and I'm so glad I did. This is an absolute stunning perfume. You have kumquat, you have aldehydes, you have coriander, you have rosewood, you have sage, you have laddanum, and then you have musk. A lot of musk in this. Then you have some ambergris, some cedar, and some wormwood. But what you have is a beautiful, refined gentleman's fragrance. This, just in smell alone, this is in my top 10 fragrances at the moment. I absolutely cannot get enough of it. My wife loves it on me, and those of you that were lucky enough to wear this first time around will remember how good this fragrance is. The performance is okay. It lasts all day, but it's really, really punchy in the opening, and it belts out, so you're thinking, God, this is going to be a proper beast mode fragrance, but it's not. It really, really makes a scene for the first hour or so. It's everywhere, but that first 20 minutes, it's like, wow! And then after that, it does really calm down and sits quite close to your skin. But it's lovely, and it just smells so, so nice. I was talking to Rich, and Rich is, oh, I can't remember it, describe it. And I said, it's like going to, and I've been reading reviews, so I don't know if I've actually made this up myself or if I've picked it up. But if you went to a very glamorous tailor's, probably in Milan or somewhere like that, and this really respectful and well-groomed gentleman came over to deal with you, this is what he would smell like. This perfume smells beautiful. It's very manly, very sophisticated. It's sweet, it's airy. The musk in here just carries it out beautifully, and then it dries down to kind of like a modernish barbershop. Now, don't be fooled, because this came out in 1998. This is up there with some of the best designers out there at the moment. It does not smell dated. It smells beautiful. It really just has some gravitas to it, and it's perfect all year round. It's got a summery vibe to it, so if it's grey and grim out there and you want something that's going to be bright and uplifting and a real pick-me-up, a real tonic for a miserable day, Uomo is going to be one that you should really, really consider. And because it's so cheap, you can get this for £15-16 for these bottles. Just get it. It's a no-brainer. I absolutely love this one. Okay, next up we have Shagaf Men. Now, I'm a big fan of the others from this collection. I have Aswad and I have the gold bottled Shagaf. Really, really good. So this is their kind of lightening things up a bit for summer, I think. So you have cardamom, you have orange, you have lemon, you have lavender, you have sage, you have cypriol, but you still get the praline in this that makes the original so good. Then you have tulip balsam, you have rosewood, and you have patch, and you have amber. So you have a bright, sweet citrus that works its way into a summery take on the other Shagaf, basically. It's still very, very sweet, and it may be a bit too sweet for some, but I think this is excellent. I think it's a 70ml bottle, came in at around £18, so it's worth a punt. If you're looking for an oriental, sort of Middle Eastern summery perfume which can be worn all year round, if you like bright citruses that are quite sweet, have a look at this. Performance is excellent. It goes on for hours and hours and hours. And it starts off as a bit of a freshie, but because of the praline, it starts becoming almost gourmandish and a bit heavy as it dries down, which again works well for kind of autumn, winter. Maybe not on a hot day. I've only worn this on sort of fairly warm days, and it's been quite good actually. I quite like it. I think I prefer the others that I've got from the collection, but if you want something a bit different, a bit more citrusy, a bit more fruity, then have a look at this one. It's well worth it. So that is Shagaf Men from Swiss Arabian, a very good perfume indeed. And then another oldie, and this is from Ted Lapidus, and this one really surprised me, and this is called Pour Louis. Now, I will forgive them from the bottle because it's absolutely appalling. Look at that, it's a shocker, it's awful. And then you've got one of these sprayers that indents it. I mean, it kicks out a nice amount of perfume, but I just hate the bottle design. You know, the big T on it and all the rest. Oh, it's by Ted Lapidus, well done, mate. It's not for me in terms of bottle, but the perfume itself is lovely. What I like about it is it's almost like a modern, or more modern take on Caron's Pour un Homme. So you have vanilla, you have, actually that's really smelling in the room. So you have lavender, you have some mintiness that goes with the lavender, and then you have vanilla. So whereas with Caron Pour un Homme, it's all about the lavender and the vanilla comes into it. This is more about the vanilla and the lavender comes into it. But it's got this fresh mintiness that works really, really well. So it is quite sweet, but it is clean and it is quite a fresh fragrance. It lasts really well. When you wear this, what happens is, again, it's one that kind of puts you in quite a thick cloud and you think, oh, this is really, really strong, but it drops off quickly. But what I noticed is 5, 6, 7 hours later, you're still getting little wafts of it. Every time you move around, it kind of picks up on it. So it's actually quite a modern smelling fragrance. It's been around since 2003. So you've got some lily of the valley, you've obviously got the lavender, you've got some mint, you've got some bergamot, you have some musks, there's some sandalwood and some patchouli in the base. But overall, this is a fresh, sweet, vanilla-centric perfume that's actually very masculine and wears really, really well. If you're looking for a cheapie for the office, have a look at this. It's perfect for that. It's actually just nice to wear if you're going to the pub or something like that. I really enjoy it. And I think it's a bit of a bargain out there, and I'm surprised I don't hear more people talking about it. But there you go. And that's Pour Louis from Ted Lapidus. Under £20 for 100ml. Bargain. Next up, we have another TK Maxx find. And this is from Abaco Paris, and this is called Nui Dory. Now, if I read you out the notes for this one, it would be a little bit misunderstanding. You'd be a little bit I don't know. It's like throwing you a curveball because the notes are olibanum, iris, patchouli, leather and honey. Now, you can pick out all of these from this. But if you look at the bottle, there's a bit of a clue there because this to me is kind of like a clone of Dior's Bois d'Argent. It's really rather nice. In fact, it smells a lot more like Van Cleef's and Arpels Bois d'Iris. Now, I own both, and this is better for me in terms of performance than the Van Cleef and Arpels one. This is a really, really good take on it. It's like a slightly heavier version of Bois d'Argent. The leather and the woods in it kind of give it more of a base. So if you like Bois d'Argent, but like many people, you have trouble smelling it, this is a bit thicker. It's a bit heavier on your skin. So it's well worth it. I think I paid £14 for this one. again in TK Maxx. If you look at it online, it kind of varies a bit, but you can find it as a bargain. It's one that I would keep in the back of my mind if I were you, and I was going through TK Maxx, and there's a few in the collection that pop up, as you know, TK Maxx does. They every now and again they kind of like there's an outbreak of perfumes, and the Abaco Paris seem to pop up in quite a lot. I've not tried anything else. There's not one other in the collection that really stood out to me. So I took a punt on this. I thought it was going to be kind of like Dior Homme or Dior Homme Intense or something like that, but it's not. It's actually more like Dior's Bois d'Argent, which I really, really love. So this was £14, very well spent. I'd actually pay more than that for this because it works really well. The iris is quite lipsticky in it, and you know what you're going to get. You've got to get this creamy, irisy sort of smooth, little bit like a lady's handbag kind of thing. I think that's what they all say about iris, isn't it? Oh, it's like lipstick and a handbag. But yeah, it is. But it's good. It's really nice. It's long lasting. It's polite, shall I say? So you get a bit of a fanfare when it arrives, but then it kind of calms down and sits on your skin. And there you go from there. Really, really good one though, and worth exploring. If you stumble across it, grab it. It's a good bargain. Talking of bargains, this one is the cheapest of the lot, and this is a Dakar from Al Rehab. Now this is well known. I love this one. As you can see, I've taken quite a lot out of that. I think I paid £6 for this one, and this is their take on Dracula Noir. And that's exactly what it smells like. It smells like old Dracula Noir, not the really feeble one that's on the market at the moment. This is the one that you remember your parents wearing, or your father wearing, or your grandfather wearing. That's what this smells like, this clean, fresh, lavendery, masculine fragrance. If you like things like Brut and stuff like that, get on it. It's about £5 for 50ml. Super, super bargain. I love this. I won't be without it. In fact, it's interesting because obviously I was testing out the new Sauvage Elixir, and there's parts of it that smell a bit like this in the opening. So if you really want the opening of the new Sauvage Elixir for no money whatsoever, have a look at Dakar from Al Rehab. A really, really good clone. But because it's cloning something you can't get anymore, I'm happy with that. So excellent value. Okay, so now we're down to the final two. Okay, the final two. So we'll have a look at this one from Lattafa, and that's called qaa'ed. I think that's QAA''ED. So qaa'ed, I think. Look at the bottle. Look at that. I mean, it's kind of a bit. It reminds me a little bit of one of the Dunhill, one of the icons, Icon Gold or whatever it's called, Icon Absolute. So it's a bit like that. It weighs a pig in ton. The top is, thankfully, is plastic. If this was the same material, I mean, this is plastic too, but because the glass is so heavy, it just feels great. But yeah, I mean, it's a stunner, isn't it? I mean, this again is a real cheapie. It's been really talked about quite a lot as well, so I kind of fell in with the hype and bought it. I've had it for a long time, and I was going to do a single review on it on its own, which I haven't got around to doing yet, but I thought it would be a good one to include in this. So with the notes, you have cinnamon, you have cardamom, you have bergamot, you have vanilla, you have oud, you have amber, and you have leather. It's all right. It's good. It's a very Middle Eastern thing. It's quite sophisticated. You could wear it for work. There's been a lot of talk about this being a beast, and I don't think it is. I think it smells nice. I think it's quite a leathery. It's quite a masculine fragrance. It's kind of like an alpha male fragrance, and it is quite loud to start off with, but it's not a beast at all. After an hour or so, it kind of drops off and becomes very, very close to my skin, which is perfect for this kind of scent. As it gets, as it dries down, the sort of the oud and the leathery, and there's almost like a bit of an animalic kind of note that comes into it, which kind of counters some of the earlier sweetness. It does give the perfume really good balance though, and it's a nice one to wear. If you're into your kind of Middle Eastern fragrances, you will probably enjoy this. If you're kind of, again, you're kind of like looking for like a masculine fragrance, but you're not that fond of a Middle Eastern style frag, I wouldn't bother with this one. I think it might be a little bit too much for you. But if if you like things like Shagaf and stuff like that, then this, you will enjoy it. There's definitely nothing here to dislike if you're prepared for that kind of Arabic style of perfume. I think it's a really, really good one, to be honest. Well worth I think £16 I paid for it for 100ml. So yeah, it's worth having, definitely worth a punt, but you must like that kind of sort of heavier Middle Eastern style fragrances. It's pleasant, it's grown up, it's a mature fragrance, and it wears very, very well. So this is a nice one. So this is qaa'ed by Lattafa, well worth looking at. And then finally, my number one, and it's a little bit more than some of the others, and this is from Pocket Scents, and this is called Raspberry Oud Incense, and this is a blinding fragrance. It's just beautiful. You've got raspberry, saffron, incense, rose, geranium, oud, birch, benzoin and amberwood to create this. Now, this has been influenced, you know, some of Matt's fragrances from Pocket Scents are quite original and some are sort of inspirations, or they've taken the lead from other perfumes. And I think this was meant to be, or has certainly, for the main part, been inspired by Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. But when you spray this, and this, by the way, is the fragrance I'm wearing today, it reminds me very much in the opening of Xerjoff's More Than Words. They're quite similar. In fact, it reminds me more of More Than Words than it does of Ombre Nomade in the opening. As it dries down, though, you will start to see why it's been inspired by Ombre Nomade. And this is a great perfume. It smells absolutely amazing. And for £25 for this, you cannot go wrong if you like that kind of thing. There's an oudi influence in this, but what's happened with this is, I think, when Matt was putting this perfume together, he wanted that oud trait to give you the impression of oud, but he didn't want anything that's going to be difficult for you to wear. So the oud is not muted, it's clean. There's no fecal notes, there's no animalics to it, there's no funk with it. There's just a hint of something exotic coming in. And it works really well with the heavier materials. The rose and the geranium blend together, but it's all very softly done. The perfume itself isn't soft, and that's why I like it. It's got some real presence and it's got some oomph and it really kicks out. But what he's done is all the raspberry, I mean, if you look at all the notes individually, the raspberry is very fruity, it's very good. The saffron gives it the sweetness, and the incense floats around softly. It's not a strong incensey fragrance. The rose is soft, it floats around with the carnation, and then this oud, which gives an intense woodiness. Then you have the birch and the depth that comes into the amberwood. So it's a perfume that uses lots of materials very lightly together to make a cacophony that's actually quite a forceful fragrance. So it's very skillfully done and very cleverly made. It smells lovely and it lasts a very long time. Projection's pretty good. It opens with a fanfare and then it drops off like a lot of these to sit on your skin for a very long time. I think it's perfectly done. I really enjoy wearing this one, and I think you will too. So this is Raspberry Oud Incense from Pocket Scents up in Glasgow, and this, I believe, is £25 for 50ml, so well worth exploring. So there you have it. Very much a whistle-stop tour, as I do like to say. So 10 amazing bargain perfumes out there for you to explore. If you've had a sniff of any of these, or if you own them, please let me know. Let's have a little chat about it. Well, I hope you like them. It's been good fun to make, and I do like, you know, sort of exploring these sort of more financially acceptable blind buys that you can have some fun with. But yeah, I mean, I love all of them. They're all really good. But I think Raspberry Oud Incense from Pocket Scents for me is the top of the pile. So there you go. I hope you like it. Thanks very much for your time, and we shall see you soon on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.